Yeah! Woo-wee! Super party time. Tonight we're gonna party like it's 2013. Utah lost. Houston and J-Lin are going to the playoffs. Woo! Houston 101, Phoenix 98. And just to do my little American cultural duty, the parody song I just sung was Prince's 1999, or Tonight We're Gonna Party Like It's 1999. I think it's just called 1999. The game wasn't over until Jermaine O'Neal goaltended the final shot of the game. James Harden took a three-pointer from about 25 degrees or 30 degrees right of the top of the arc. It hit the rim, bounced almost straight up, was coming back down, and Jermaine O'Neal put his hand up through the rim. Remember, I told you guys in the past, goaltending, the rules of goaltending. One of the rules is you can't put your hand through the rim because they're afraid you're going to touch the rim and then you'll move the basket, and that influences whether the ball will go in or not if it's still in that imaginary cylinder above the rim. As I said, it's different in international competition. You can touch a ball while it's above the cylinder in the Olympics and international play. You can't do that in the NBA. The reason why you can't do it in the NBA is the ball still has a chance to go in. So you want to give it a chance to go in. I don't know why the international rule is what it is, but that's the way it is. But the principle is the ball might still go in if it's still in that cylinder. So it kind of makes sense. Now, you're looking at the artwork here. This is more phenomenal artwork from more volunteers. I want to say thank you to Gary Chen of Taiwan for this artwork. And just like the artwork in the Game 77 video that was done by Charles from Singapore, we really appreciate this volunteer effort from Gary. And what we'll do is, again, if people want to send in more artwork, we'll put it up. And we'll rotate the pictures. So I know that Charles from Singapore said about doing more artwork. So when he does it, we'll put it up. And we'll use the original picture that I've used, for most of the videos. JLin with the little buttoned up, white, short-sleeved polo type of shirt. And we'll just rotate them around. Look, this is a way for you guys to have something more interesting than the same picture every single time. And it's a way to interact for fans that have artistic ability. And that, it's great. You guys help us out, and we get to show your work, and people can appreciate the work that you do. And I know, different people are saying stuff about Charles's art in the last video. Let me tell you, Charles has a phenomenal artistic ability. I saw all of his pictures. The picture that he did is called a caricature. In other words, it's supposed to look silly. It's like in the USA, if you go to like a fair, you go to like a little gathering in the town and they have rides and all this type of stuff, not an amusement park, but something that's seasonal, something that comes like every, fall or every summer. There will often be artists that do caricatures. Like you can have an artist do a caricature of you a lot of times at a fair. That's what Charles was doing in the JLin picture. So he wasn't supposed to look like super great. It's a caricature. It's fun. It's funny. It's, so that was the whole point of the artwork. And I think a lot of people missed that, but whatever. That's fine. People have different taste, and I understand that. This is another great piece. And again, we want to thank Gary for his artwork. And in the video description below the video player, I will put information so you can go and visit Gary at his Facebook page. And I also want to thank Hanny Chang and all the people in the Lin Garden JLin fan club for helping to make this artwork possible for us. You can find information about Hanny and Lin Garden also in the video description below the video player. Once again, Gary, your artwork is phenomenal. I was over at Lin Garden Twitter and I saw some of the other stuff. It's amazing. I can't draw anything. So it's just like I'm always stunned with people that can actually draw. So we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And I also want to send a thank you out to someone that may wish to remain anonymous, but I know that they've done some translation type of work for us, and I just want to say we really appreciate that. I don't want to say anything else because I don't know if that person wants me to say anything else, but they know who they are, and we really appreciate that. Okay, now let's get to this stuff, get to the game details quick so we can get to Jeremy's stuff. Tonight, obviously, we were reunited with Marcus Morris, Luis Scola, and Goran Dragic, all of whom played for Houston within the last year. Chandler, Bieber, Parsons, and Carlos Delfino were both out. And if you saw, Chandler was looking dapper again, looking good on the sidelines with the little white collared shirt and the blazer. I didn't see what pants he was wearing, but I don't think they were red today. Look, you got to give it to Bieber. He looks good. And, I know when I go and I look at because sometimes I'll go and look where people put our videos on foreign language sites, and the word that's translated, and again, the translation isn't perfect. I'm using Google translation of pages, but the word that always comes up for Parsons is handsome. So it seems like everybody thinks he looks good all over the world. So I call him Bieber because for a while he had a Bieber kind of haircut. And, Bieber, a lot of girls think Bieber's cute. And a lot of girls think Chandler's cute. So that's why I call him Bieber. And I know that people, I can't remember your name right now, and I'm sorry, but I know one of our viewers gets a kick out of it every single time I call him Bieber. Houston started again tonight with the big front line, Greg Smith, Omer Asik, and Francisco Garcia filling in for Bieber and Carlos Delfino. Now, Phoenix has been on a losing streak recently. They came into this game losing 9 straight games, and fortunately, we were able to make it 10. One of the best things in this game was we found a new lineup, a new small ball lineup that could work. Not like Carlos Delfino playing power forward trying to guard Zach Randolph of Memphis, but one that can actually work. We've seen it kind of before, but now we saw an even better version, and it is Patrick Beverley, Jeremy playing shooting guard, James Harden playing small forward, Thomas Jones playing power forward, and Greg Smith playing center. Mikhail played that lineup tonight. He was experimenting with different lineups tonight, and I'm glad he did that. And that lineup that I just said, that lineup can work playing small ball. The reason why it can work as opposed to the Carlos Delfino small ball lineup is because, again, when you play Carlos Delfino, you have problems like Zach Randolph destroying Carlos Delfino on offense, and Carlos is trying to play defense against Zach Randolph. That can't work. He's 60 pounds lighter than Zach Randolph and, 4 inches shorter. But this lineup can work, and the reason why is because you get the best of all worlds. You get Patrick Beverley's in-your-face defense against smaller players. You get Jeremy scoring and passing. You get James Harden scoring and passing. And you get Thomas Jones' crazy athleticism. And remember, Thomas isn't super tall, but he's big. He's a physical guy, even though he's not a... Some guys play physical, like they use their bulk to muscle guys. Thomas doesn't really do that, but he's still huge. And, of course, he can jump like few people can. And you get Greg Smith. So what you get with that lineup is you get athletic ability, you get guys that can finish. It's not Omer fumbling passes or getting blocked layups. You have two guys in Greg Smith and Thomas Jones that are going to dunk pretty much everything around the rim. It's a great lineup. Now, you can't play that lineup against everybody, but you can play it against certain teams, and I assure you that we will see it in the playoffs. We may see it less or more depending on what the matchup is. If you play Memphis, that lineup might not work. But if you play San Antonio, it might work. So finding this lineup is gigantic. I'm as excited about this as I was as excited when they put Greg Smith into the starting lineup at the power forward. And with the big lineup now, which is Jeremy, James Harden, Chandler, and Omer, now you can either start Greg Smith or Thomas Jones at the power forward. So it's like we've talked so much this year about how important depth is, and now you're really seeing it. It's starting to pay off. And I give Mikhail credit because he's been tinkering and experimenting, and it's starting to work. He's starting to find things that work. And it will pay off. It should pay off this year, but it will definitely pay off next year, depending on what moves are made by General Manager Daryl Morey in the offseason. This is really, really exciting. Jeremy and James Harden led the team down the stretch. Jeremy scored 4 of Houston's final 7 points, and he hit 2 critical free throws to tie this game up at 98 with, a minute and something to go in the game. Maybe a minute, whatever it was, or 50 seconds. James Harden did have that final shot, but believe me, Jeremy was crucial for this win. Crucial. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So Mr. Fourth Quarter did it again. He really did. James Harden had 33 points. Unfortunately, he also had 9 turnovers. This would have been a really, really bad loss if we would have lost. This was a trap game, right? And a trap game means a game that you don't think is going to be that difficult, so you kind of overlook it. And so because you overlook it, you fall into the trap. And that's why it's called a trap game. But fortunately, we got the win. And we made the playoffs. Oh, that is just sweet. Haters, let me repeat that one more time. JLin is going to the playoffs, and that is sweet. So, crawl under your rock, fade away into the darkness, go bye-byes, because Jeremy is heading for the big time, and that means he's heading to the playoffs, and that is awesome. I also must say, before I turn to Jeremy, Omer Ashik had 22 rebounds in this game. Amazing. Omer has his limits, and there's his things that he's got to work on, but man, I tell you, you can't overstate how important he is for this team. So this was a great win in a game that was much tougher than what we thought it was going to be. Okay, let's turn to Jeremy now. Mr. Fourth Quarter, again, he came back into this game with 5 minutes and 46 seconds left in the game, and it was like a 2 or 4 point game at that time. This was crunch time, and Jeremy came through again. Now, coming into this game, Jeremy had 4 straight Linsanity 2.0 games, right? This wasn't a Linsanity 2.0 game, so the streak is over. But the reason why it wasn't a Linsanity 2.0 game is because his jump shot was off. Now, does that have something to do with the elbow? I don't know. I can tell you, though, as someone who's played a tremendous amount of basketball in his life, some days your shot's off. You just show up and it's not there. And this happens to the best shooters in the world. Ray Allen, Reggie Miller. There's just days where you don't have it on your shot. It's just off for whatever reason. So I'm not freaking out about this. Jeremy was 4 of 15 from the field, but I don't care because we won. That's what I said. Statistics are great as long as you win. But if you lose, statistics mean nothing. And if you win, statistics mean nothing. So I don't care what Jeremy's stats were. Honestly, he won. Jeremy finished with 13 points, 6 assists. He was 5 of 14 shooting from the field, 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 0 of 4 from three-point range, 2 steals, 0 blocked shots, 2 turnovers, 1 personal foul, plus minus was +2, and his efficiency number was 11. Now, Jeremy was outplayed by Goran Dragic, who is the former Houston Rockets point guard. Dragic finished with 15 points and 10 assists, and his efficiency number was 21. So, look, give Dragic credit. Dragic is, I've told you guys before about Dragic. I like him a lot. Dragic is a phenomenal athlete, even beyond what you see on the court. I've heard stories before about Dragic where when he was on Houston and on different teams where it's like people are just amazed at how athletic he is. He's the most athletic guy on the team almost always. And so I've always been high on him. There's no shame in getting beaten in a one-on-one matchup with Goran Dragic. And that's just the way it is. And I think he's got a bright future. He's a very good, exciting point guard. In some ways, he reminds me of Jeremy. But he's not as fast as Jeremy, but in some ways he's more athletic than Jeremy. He just has that pizzazz. Now Jeremy does also, but it's a little different. Like I said, the Goran, his game is slightly different than Jeremy's. Okay. As I said, the banner headline, the neon flashing sign from tonight's game is that because Utah lost tonight to the Oklahoma City Thunder, JLin has led the Houston Rockets to the playoffs along with James Harden. We talked about this in the second video we did tonight. The first video was Houston wins, me and JDV talking. The second video was Houston's going to the playoffs. I talked about this. Jeremy and this team was expected to be awful this year. They were expected to win 25 games this year. Seriously, by respected NBA analyst. Look at this. They're 44 wins now. That is phenomenal. And believe me, Jeremy has a lot to do with that. Now, you guys know that. The haters don't know that, but trust me. I can tell you right now, New York and Carmelo and, they know. They're watching. That's right. You thought Jeremy was a fraud and a fluke. I guess he wasn't. Right? That's huge. That's huge. And, again, Mr. Clutch came through. Look, this game was not looking good when Jeremy came in. It wasn't. Phoenix had the momentum. They really had the momentum. And they were, when you watch basketball enough, you can tell when one team has the flow of the game. And when they're in a flow on offense, and Phoenix was in a flow on offense when Jeremy came in. So it wasn't looking good. This was when I got so mad about the Indiana game, right? And Jeremy came back into the game with 5 minutes, but the score was only 10 points. And everybody, it's still a game. No, it wasn't, because Indiana had all the momentum and all the flow, and I knew it was over. This game looked, again, Phoenix had all of that momentum. Jeremy came in, steadied the offense, and he hit those two. Well, He hit the one big shot. He hit a fadeaway from the right free throw line extended late in the fourth quarter. And let me tell you something. I don't remember who was guarding him on that play. I want to say it was the guy Tucker who got into it with James Harden in this game. And if you want to talk about drama, we talk about drama and stuff besides the game. That was a continuation of words exchanged between Tucker and Harden from the last game. In the last game, I can't remember Tucker's name. First name might be James Tucker. I don't remember. In the last game between these two teams, Tucker and Harden got into it. They started, they were talking to each other, and I think they got double technicals. A double technical occurs when both players are arguing with each other. And so the referee doesn't want to just blame one guy, so he calls both players for a technical. Usually, when a technical foul is called, you get a free throw. The team who didn't commit the technical gets a free throw. But when it's a double technical, there are no free throws. The reason why technicals are important is because if you get two technicals, you're kicked out of the game. Similar to if you get 6 personal fouls, you're out of the game. So what you'll see a lot of times is the referees will give the double technical because they're basically telling the players, shut up. And if you don't shut up, we're going to kick you out of the game. Or stop fighting or whatever it is. So the drama angle was when Tucker and Harden got into it in this game, it was late. And it was because, Tucker was feeling good. Because what happened in the last game was Tucker was talking to Harden, and the game was pretty close. And then Harden torched him. And so it's like, yeah, you want to talk? Yeah. Look what happened. Oops, better not talk. So in this game, Tucker thought he had the upper hand and his team might win. So he started talking to James Harden, right? And that's why we have to, we all are reading the same book. You have to know the whole book. People that watch this game or listen to this video, they're not going to know what happened in the other game. But we know what happened because we talked about it and we watched it. So that's what that was about. That's where that was coming from, Tucker remembers what happened with Harden the last time. So when Jeremy came in, again, Phoenix had momentum. Tucker's feeling good and cocky. It didn't look good. But Jeremy, like I said, took control of the offense. And I got into the whole discussion about Tucker because I think Tucker was playing defense against Jeremy on the shot that Jeremy hit. A really clutch shot with whatever it was, 1.5 minutes left. And what happened on the play, and this is why I built up Tucker, the whole discussion, is that Tucker was trying to talk trash and get up into Jeremy. Like he was trying to, bully Jeremy on the play. Now, I don't mean physically bully him, like he wasn't pushing him, right? But you can tell when a defender really takes on the challenge, like they really want to stop the offensive player. You kind of, just get really aggressive and picking at him and really jumping at him. And that's what Tucker did against Jeremy in this play. And I think it came right after the little tussle with James Harden. So Tucker's trying to take control, right? Be dominant. Jeremy punked him out. And that's what I said. That's why I set up all of that background. Here's Tucker thinking he's all great, and he just got in it with James Harden. He's going to shut down Jeremy. And nope, Mr. Fourth Quarter jump shot in your face. And that was huge. And that came with Houston down like 3 points or something. Jeremy is a clutch player. And don't make Jeremy mad. Don't challenge Jeremy. That's why I tell you guys constantly, remember when the times were bad and, Jeremy and the knee, and Jeremy responds well to challenges. Jeremy likes to be challenged. Now, I've told you guys before, most competitive athletes, most competitive people in anything like to be challenged. But there are people. The reason why people get the reputation as being clutch is because they particularly respond well to challenges. There are plenty of the people in the NBA who don't do great when the game's on the line. I gave you well, no, that's not really. Yeah, there's some guys that if you foul them late in the game, they're going to miss free throws, But Jeremy's the opposite of that. That's why when Tucker challenged him, I was thinking, you know what? This jump shot's going to go right in the basket, and that's exactly what happened. I'll tell you a quick story. Just very quick. I don't want to get too far afield of this, but I'll tell you just because it relates to this. There's a person that John and I know, and I'm not going to say the person's name, and they'll probably never hear this video, but they came from a lot of money, meaning their family had a bunch of money. And so much so that this person didn't have to do anything. They were set, right? This is, the person born with a silver spoon, we say in English, meaning, they were wealthy and that everything's laid out for them, right? Well, this person was super competitive, despite that. And so you hear people say, oh, Jeremy went to Harvard and he doesn't have to do anything and he's soft. No, he's not. Jeremy's tough, just like this guy I'm thinking about that John and I know. Because he has the will. He has it inside of him that he wants to be the best. And that person had a chip on their shoulder. And as I've told you guys before, Jeremy has a chip on his shoulder because of all the people that dissed him and all the people that doubted him and all the people that didn't give him Division I scholarships and all the people that thought he couldn't play basketball because he was Asian American. Jeremy's driven to succeed. Doesn't matter how much money he has, whatever. And I told you guys this the last video. That's what makes Jeremy great. That's why Jeremy's special. Yeah, he's super fast, and yeah, we all saw that. A lot of us saw the thing with Daryl Morey talking to 60 Minutes, the clip they didn't use. He has the best acceleration, whatever. Jeremy's special because he feels he has to succeed. That's what I realized about him early last year during Linsanity 1.0. Here's a guy that's from Harvard. He doesn't need to do anything. He doesn't need to be in the NBA. He could be running the NBA, right? But he wants to be in the NBA. If you get somebody like that, like the guy I was telling you about, I'll tell you another player who was like this from a long time ago in the 1980s, as Bill Laimbeer, that played for the Pistons, came from a lot of money. Didn't need to succeed, but he was nasty. He was very competitive. He's the type of guy, he'll elbow you in the throat to win. That's what Jeremy's like. Those are the guys that are the most dangerous. The guys that don't need it, but they're more desperate than anybody to win. Kobe's like that. Kobe came from money. His dad was a pro basketball player. He didn't need to succeed, but he wanted to. And he'll do anything to win. That's what Jeremy's like. Jeremy just, again, he gets wrapped up in that nice little, he's so nice, he's so sweet, and he's Christian, and he's Harvard. Jeremy's very competitive, and he wants to beat you. And if you challenge him, he really wants to beat you. And that's what Tucker found out on that play late in the game tonight. After that, I don't know, the score was 98-96. This is late in the fourth. Jeremy drove to the basket, and he got hit real hard. He had a couple bad falls in this game. That wasn't so bad, but he had a layup in this game earlier, and he fell right on his chest and his face. That was a nasty fall, and again, he's got to be careful with that, but I think he's okay. So Jeremy got fouled, 2 free throws, 98-96 Phoenix, hit them both, Mr. Clutch, and that set up that final play for James Harden. The offense ran correctly tonight. And what I mean by that is James Harden played the right way. Jeremy was the point guard. James Harden was the shooting guard. Now, there was a couple exceptions to that, and that's okay. That's what I told you guys about before, which is if you have a player of James Harden's skill level and ability who can pass and who can dribble, let him use that. Just don't let him use it all the time. James Harden should control the ball at sometimes, just not all the time. That should be Jeremy. And that's what we saw tonight. And James Harden had a nice little streak in the third and fourth quarter, whatever it was, where his ISOs were working and he was making good passes. Cool. I don't have a problem with James Harden running the point. It's just I have a problem when he's running the point and it's turnover ball and when Jeremy should be running the point. But there are going to be times in a game where James Harden will run the point, and that's fine. It's just like Dwayne Wade's going to run the point sometimes and LeBron's not going to. For Miami, that's fine. But Harden played the right way, and he played smart. And you're not going to be perfect. Harden wasn't perfect tonight, neither was Jeremy, but it's coming along. It's improving. Now, let's talk about this McHale substitution. I know somebody already commented on this, and I said, no, don't worry about it. The reason why Lin was substituted late in the game with 1:10 left or whatever it was, and Houston was down by a point or whatever, or was tied, that is what is known as offense for defense substitution. You do that when you have timeouts or the game is stopped and you put in a player for one half of the court. In other words, you either put in a guy because he's really good on offense or you put in a guy because he's really good at defense. McHale put in Patrick Beverley for that sequence for defense. And that was it. In other words, he was only in while Phoenix had the ball. And then as soon as Houston got the ball, he put Jeremy back in. That is very common. Has nothing to do with Jeremy. It's because McHale wanted pressure on the ball, and it was a close game. I'll give you another example of how this happens. Say a team is down by 2 or 3 points, and there's 15 seconds left in the game, and the team is on offense that is trailing by 3. What you'll see is the team will put in people that are really good 3-point shooters while they're on offense. And then once they go back to defense, they'll take the shooters out and put in better defenders. So this is typical. I know a lot of people, it's a touchy subject of McHale taking out Lin, but this was perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with this. This happens all the time. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Jeremy showed great leadership tonight. He was slapping guys, slapping guys' hands and stuff when they made mistakes. Greg Smith messed up and he went over and found him. James Anderson had a silly turnover. Jeremy went and found him and shook his hand like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Right. Leadership. That's leadership. That keeps guys' minds focused on the game instead of focused on, man, I messed up. Oh, boy. And then before you know it, you lose a couple more points. Jeremy's a leader. Jeremy's a leader, and you saw it again tonight. Jeremy made great decisions tonight on offense. We talk about this. If you're going to play point guard, and remember, Jeremy's transitioning from shooting guard to point guard mostly. He plays shooting guard a little bit, but mostly he plays point. And he played shooting guard at Harvard in college. If you're going to play point guard, you must make good decisions with the basketball. You have to pass to the right guy, and you don't pass it, to the wrong guy or at the wrong time, etc. Jeremy made good decisions tonight, both in the half-court offense and on the fast break. There's a certain structure of thinking that goes on for running a fast break when you have the ball and you're in the middle of the floor. In other words, you're dribbling and maybe a teammate's on one side or on both sides. There's a particular way to handle that. Jeremy was good at that tonight, and he was good at running the half-court offense as well. Now, Jeremy got taken out of the game late in the first because he did make a mistake. Goran Dragic beat him on when Jeremy was on defense. Dragic beat him. I think Jeremy was a little upset. Not really, but a little bit. And he came down and he dribbled into the lane and he circled around the lane, came out the other end, and he put up a shot, and it was an air ball. And that's why Mikhail took him out. And that's, you know what? I honestly don't have problems anymore with Mikhail doing it because, and there's a reason for that. Again, it's not a problem for a coach to have a style as long as everybody knows what the style is. In other words, if you're going to do tough love, but you're going to do it fairly and you're going to reward people, then most people won't have a problem with it. Now we know Mikhail's starting to do that. Why? Because he benched James Harden in the Denver game, which was fairness, and he rewarded Jeremy also in the Denver game, and he played him all of the second quarter and all of the third quarter when he played well. As long as we know Mikhail's going to treat Jeremy fairly and treat everybody else the same way, I don't have a problem with tough love at all. What Mikhail's trying to do is he's trying to use like a competition between Jeremy and Patrick Beverley to get them both to play better. In other words, you mess up and put Patrick in. And so you see this in different sports. Like in American football, the quarterback's the guy that controls everything, like the point guard, right? There are certain quarterbacks where they don't play well unless they have to. And so you'll see the team go out and get another good quarterback to put pressure on the starting quarterback. In other words, yeah, before you could play poorly and we didn't have anybody else to go to, but now we have somebody to turn to. So I guess you better play better. That's not the reason why they got Patrick Beverley, but that's kind of how Mikhail's using it. And that's fine. That's good. Because what it does for young players like Jeremy is it gets you more focused. As a point guard, you value possessions more instead of, well, I had a couple turnovers. Nah, whatever. Yeah, I'll make it up later. No. Mikhail's trying to get Jeremy out of that mindset, and that's a good thing. That's exactly what Greg Popovich did with Tony Parker, and you can see the results. So I'm okay with Mikhail taking him out at the end of the game, and I'm okay with him taking him out with about 3.5 minutes left in the first, because now I believe in Kevin Mikhail more. And in this game, Jeremy, just like the Denver game, he played the entire second quarter and he played the entire third quarter. So Jeremy played almost 40 minutes tonight. He's going to get his minutes now. So I'm not worried about it. Now Mikhail's building up trust. We can trust him more. It's better to have two guys that can handle the ball on your team than one. Just going back to James Harden and Jeremy. People, they both need the ball. No. If you can have two guys that can make passes and dribble, that's much better than having one guy or no guys. I've seen teams where they don't have enough guys that can handle the ball. And, like the Lakers, Steve Nash is out, and now Kobe has to handle the ball all the time. That's tough. That's why Kobe's playing like 48 minutes a night right now. Why? Because there's nobody else on the team that can handle the ball and make plays. So it's much better to have two guys that can do that than just one guy. And that's why it's cool for Jeremy and James Harden to be on the same team. And going to that same point, there was an excellent play in this game. I don't remember when it was. It was in the first half. I'm pretty sure of that. Excuse me. Omer Ashik had the ball on a post-up, meaning, Omer had his back to the basket, and he had the ball in his hands, and he was going to make a move. And Jeremy made a great cut right down the middle of the lane. Honestly, Omer should have passed him the ball because Jeremy was wide open, but he didn't pass him the ball. That's a demonstration that Jeremy's getting better at playing without the ball or off the ball. So Jeremy's improving the same way that James Harden is improving. And it's great. Again, this is a very, very young team, and they're going to keep getting better and better. This is just the beginning. That's why so many people are so excited about this team, and that's why people like Dwight Howard and others are looking seriously at joining this team, because look at how good they are. And this is the first year, and they're going to win 45 or more games. This team is seriously talented, and it's going to get better. What needs to happen for now on offense, Jeremy should shoot a little bit less, and James Harden should pass a little bit less. Meaning, James Harden's a better shooter and a better scorer than Jeremy. So, let James Harden shoot a little bit more. Jeremy's a better passer and a better decision maker than James Harden. Let Jeremy handle the ball more. Jeremy's going to get better at shooting the ball and scoring. So, soon he'll be able to do more. But for now, team plays best. Jeremy's running the point, and he's dishing off the ball to James Harden on the wing or something. And that's the way they played for the most time tonight. That's how they should play, given everybody's skill set at this current moment. There was a great play, and I just want to explain this for people. In the middle of the second quarter, and it was about, 4 minutes and 20 seconds left, or 4 minutes and 30 seconds left. Jeremy stole the ball, and then he dribbled, he went the whole way up the court for a layup. And the entire way that he dribbled up the court, there was a Phoenix guy ahead of him. Jeremy did a very specific thing in that play, and I want to point it out because this is something, again, that most casual fans don't know about. He did what is called, well, there isn't a technical term for this, but this is basically what it is. He basically dribbled up the guy's back. What I mean by that is he stayed right behind him. The reason why you do that, if you're on a fast break and you're the player with the ball, is because when you get closer to the basket, the defender doesn't know which way you're going to go. And so he can't turn around and set up, because if he turns around to the right, you might go to his left. If he turns around to the left, you might go to his right. That's why Jeremy did that, and he did it great. If you watch him on that play, he went right up behind the guy, where the guy had his back turned, running back towards the defense. He dribbled a little bit to the left, and then he dribbled a little bit to the right. That's because he was executing that move perfectly. And that's a skill. That's a skill. And that's how Jeremy got an easy layup on that play, because by the time they got to the rim, the guy couldn't do anything because he didn't know which way to go. And then once he chose a way, Jeremy just went the other way. I think the guy turned to his right, and Jeremy just went to his left. Easy layup. That was a great play. And that's a skill. That's something that you have to work on, and you have to understand it in your mind to be able to execute it. Now, as we said, Jeremy played the entire second quarter and the entire third quarter. That is one of the best things that happen in this game. Maybe the best, and there's a whole bunch of reasons for it. As I told you guys in the Denver video, Game 77 video, what this means to me is that Jeremy's knee is back all the way, at least for all intents and purposes. As I said, the jumping may not be all the way back, but the speed's back. And if your knee is all the way healthy, your conditioning, your cardiovascular conditioning can get better because you can do more. You have the strength now to be able to do a long workout instead of a short workout. So what this says to me is knee's good. Jeremy's now going to be able to start playing heavier minutes, and he's ready for it. Like I said, I don't think he was ready for that last year with New York. There wasn't a gradual build-up. It was like bench to 40 minutes a night. Well, that's hard, and that might be why he hurt the knee. This year, it's been a slow build-up, and I give credit to the training staff and to the coaching staff for doing it that way. And now you're actually going to see Jeremy play like a normal starting point guard's minutes, 35, 40 minutes, because he's ready for it. We all wanted to see him play more minutes early in the year, but you know what? He wasn't ready for it. Now he's ready for it. And McHale played him those minutes. So again, give McHale credit. We've ripped McHale. Now we got to give him credit. He did a good job with the lineups tonight. And he played Jeremy a lot of minutes, just like he did in the Denver game. And that means the team and Jeremy believe in Jeremy, and they feel like he's ready physically to handle the minutes. That is critical. Jeremy didn't play great tonight. He didn't shoot well tonight, but the way you score a whole bunch of points and roll up Lincini 1.0 numbers is to play a bunch of minutes. You can't score if you're not playing. And so Jeremy's statistics should start going up now if he plays these types of minutes. The one statistic that might not go up is the player efficiency rating, PER. And the reason why that is because it has a time factor in it. In other words, it scales to how many minutes you play. It kind of balances everybody out at a standard amount of playing time. So that doesn't help if you play more minutes. That won't affect it. But your points are going to go up. Your assists are going to go up if you're on the court more. And so, of course, I'm most happy that we made the playoffs and we won this game, but I'm extremely happy that Jeremy now looks like he's going to start getting consistent starter level minutes. Again, let's just hope he stays healthy. And if he does, I think now going forward, at the end of this year and going into next year, now you're going to see him playing true starter minutes. And you can still get Patrick Beverley on the court also because you can play small ball. So it's like everything's starting to come together now. Everything's starting to come together now. Jeremy's getting a few less assists right now, and that's because Bieber's not playing. You know, Chandler is the guy, getting the alley-oop dunks and the full court passes from Jeremy for layups. Francisco Garcia is a good shooter, and Jeremy got some assists passing the ball tonight, but he's not gonna score layups and dunks like Chandler is. So that's taking Jeremy's assists down a little bit right now. As I said, I'm going to skip quarter by quarter tonight because I want to get this up, and Jaron and I did the 2 other videos. And I want to start talking playoffs. I know everybody wants to get into the comments as soon as they can, start talking about matchups and start celebrating. And like we're celebrating, this is great, man. Look, overall, this game was closer than it should have been, and it was tougher than it should have been. But everything considered, this is the best win of the year. Why? Because it got us into the playoffs. Yeah, Oklahoma City game was great, and And I can't remember the other game that was great, but this game, it's the biggest game in the world because now we're going to the playoffs. That is just so awesome, man. I mean, we're going to the playoffs. Woo! Jeremy is going to get to be on national TV. Everybody's going to see him. Remember, he didn't get to play in the playoffs last year for New York. So all the work he did in Linsanity 1.0, yeah, guess what? Carmelo got all the credit. Well, not this year. Now Jeremy's going to get to show what he's about. And again, now I've said this before, Jeremy needs more experience playing in pressure games and big games. So I don't expect him to come out and dominate or anything in the playoffs, but he is good in clutch situations. So we could see some nice performances here, but the most important thing is get in the playoffs, experience what it's like, because it's a different level. The intensity is much higher, and guys need to experience that to adapt to it so that they can be ready for it the next time around. And that's what we get to do this year. And look, Jeremy came through in the clutch. Again, I mean, that's the other part of the summary of this game. That's why he's JLin, and that's one of the reasons why we love him. Okay, next game. We're again playing the Memphis Grizzlies. That game will take place on Friday, April 12th in the United States of America at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which means it'll take place on Saturday, April 13th, early in the morning in Asia, including at 8 a.m. in Taipei, Taiwan, and I think at 11 a.m. in Sydney, Australia, where Dyson is, and where in Brisbane, where Melody Ting is, because now they've done the daylight savings time where they've taken it away or whatever. Melody told me that. So thanks for that information. It is currently 1:33 a.m. early Wednesday, April 10th, I think, on the East Coast of the United States, which means it is 1:33 p.m. on April 10th in Taipei, Taiwan. Look, this was a great game. I mean, it's like I said, emotionally I'm a little bit drained because John and I have been celebrating and making vids and everything, but this was phenomenal. This is it. This is what everybody plays for, is to get a chance to get into the playoffs, show everybody what you can do. This team, look, with this lineup, with the big lineup and with now the small ball lineup that'll work, if this team gets hot, they could get an upset. They could score an upset. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think it's going to happen, but it could happen. If they end up playing like San Antonio or something, they could beat them if things go properly. They absolutely could beat them. So I'm pumped. Now, what we have to focus on now for the final 4 games, I think it's 4 games, is we must hold off the Lakers. We do not want to go down to the A spot and play Oklahoma City if that's what's going to happen. We got to hold our position at 7 and hopefully move up to 6. That's the work that needs to be done in the next 4 games. Also, we need to get more usage of the new small ball lineup and get Thomas Jones some play, period, including in the big lineup. So that's the work that needs to be done in the next 4 games, and got to keep guys healthy and rest guys when we have the opportunity. I don't know the current status right now of Delfino and Chandler, so hopefully they're recovering and getting closer to being back and ready to play, because, I mean, that's certainly the weakness on the team right now, is the depth at the small forward position. Although I will say Thomas Jones can play a little bit of small forward. He's better as a power forward, but he can play that a little bit. But we will be much better off when Chandler and Carlos Delfino can come back. So, okay, that's it. Incredible super win. Your comments below. We're going to the playoffs, baby. Thumbs up, thumbs down this video. We'll have full information in the video description below the video player for game stories, game highlights, box score of the game. And again, the information for Gary Chen and the other people that are affiliated, Hanny Chang and the Lin Garden Group, for helping provide us with this great artwork. I am Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. And let me just say, the CNM Facebook group is now over 2,500 members. So I know some of you guys have joined, and we really appreciate that. And thanks a lot for that. And, of course, you'll find information where you can come and join in the video description as well. Super happy. This is it's just been a great season, and you know what? It's only getting started because we're going to the playoffs, baby. Yeah!